Hello, August. How are you? It's Past Podcast. We'll be recording every day for the month of August. Having to remember not to say April is an adjustment since I just did this a couple of months ago. But this is the Past, or the Past Podcast. And we're podcasting each day in August. So check out the show. You might find something new. Episode 1.
We up 22.
17. We scored a 10.
Sorry. I know we're recording a podcast. It's a serious podcast, but the Panthers just scored, and I needed to let him know that. That's really important.
Why can't we never do a serious podcast?
Why?
Anyway, if y'all can and cannot tell, as I always share, this is the Past at a new locale, soon to be a permanent locale for a bit, making some rebranding changes. I'll talk about that later. But I am your host, BT, here with my twin, as always, jumping in smooth criminal on the ones and twos with her setup and ambiance going on.
So I have multiple piles of laundry because he came over here on laundry day.
On
so
laundry
I'm literally folding thongs next to him. And what's sad is he's seen this so many times that he's completely unfazed. Completely unfazed.
I've seen much worse.
Much worse. We're not going to get into
that conversation.
We're not getting into
So before, alright, sorry. I know that was bad loud, so if y'all heard that, my bad. But this podcast is being uploaded to Spreaker.com. If you want to listen to any previous episodes, you can check them out there. I always forget to promote the actual website. So if you are wanting to go back and listen to any episodes, I'm slowly getting those uploaded. Pastpodcast.com is where you would check that out. And of course, the recordings that you hear, where you may hear some tumbling of clothes and other things and fun stuff going on, but we'll still be recording because it is what it is. It is
y'all
recorded
too.
You know how this go. But we're doing this with the Blue Yeti microphone. Links will be in the description. So I talked to my twin about this yesterday because I did do the conversations a couple of days ago about schizophrenia and then talking about mental illness, and I said, well, yeah, I'm going to do depression and anxiety. And then each time I was recording, I probably told her this before we got on air, but I'll tell her anyway. I would start a recording and then I would hit stop and then start over. It took about 4 takes before I eventually realized, let me just talk about domestic violence. So I decided I was going to come back to this topic, and we kind of collabed and came up with a good day. And today was the perfect day to work out to talk about this topic. So it'll be me moderating, giving input relating from the outside perspective on depression and some, anxiety and things of ways of handling it, how to deal with it. Chanel, on the other hand, has personally gone through the steps and phases. I know it's not I'm not making it like it's a program. Let me say that for the record. It's just mainly to address and talk about, to say the least.
Yeah, the program of
what you're not gonna do.
Depression Anonymous. Your 5-step.
So I'll be in. It's not like I'm gonna kind of be like, all right, I'm about to just put the headphone down and walk away. I'll be here to kind of give my meow.
That's Mia.
As always, welcome. So I'm gonna let her kind of like I said, we'll talk about depression. I know you have some information to share regarding it. I'll kind of be talking about personal experiences, and then we'll kind of just improv, and then I may ask some questions. Right. It'll kind of be like a random interview type thing.
Okay.
Because I can relate. It's a lot of things that I can ask because I can do tell me more. So.
Oh, you gonna be my therapist for a session?
Possibly. I can try.
I've had one. So
I know,
I've had 2.
It'll be like big bro sessions. We're just not using line, but anyway.
Pretty much. So I can't throw the twerk emoji out there. I'm upset about that.
Good night.
And
can't even share.
And we just cut the podcast.
Can't share that image. We're I'm gonna lose my show. I'm crying. Jordan crying emoji. So, so your experience started off at what point? I guess to kind of begin.
So it started, the whole issues and whatnot started when I was 16 when my mom passed away.
Right.
She passed away at home. I was one of the last people to see her alive because no one was home that day. And I think my sister was supposed to be home and she wasn't. And so I just decided not to leave my mom there by herself because I don't think that her hospice nurse was there yet. So I was like, well, I'm just going to stay home then.
Yeah.
And she was not feeling well and could barely, speak and just in a lot of pain, moaning and groaning. And my older sister managed to come home.
Okay.
Got in touch with my stepdad, John, because I didn't know the number to where he worked because I didn't know what to do. And then she left. So once again, I'm back in the house with my dying mom in the room. I'm 16. My stepdad comes home. I'm in the living room on the couch. He comes home. He goes in the room. He comes back out of the room and he goes over to our patio door and he starts looking out. And I knew then. And that's when he turned around and he was like, sweetheart, she's gone. Yeah. And I didn't even really cry then.
Right.
I cried a little I actually went to school the next day. That was the first time I cried because my homeroom teacher, because I had been late to school a lot and things like that, so she knew that my mom was sick and dying of cancer. Right. And I don't know what was on my face that day because nobody else figured it out. Walked into the class and she just looked at me and she was like, she's gone, isn't she? And that's when I broke down.
Did you have rested bitch face back then too?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but
I know this is serious, but I was like,
I think that might be what told her that something was wrong. Is that the resting bitch face wasn't there?
Okay.
And I think that's how she knew that something was wrong.
It was a change of emotion. Okay.
Yeah, and I must have looked emotional, which is not something I typically did.
Okay.
So I never dealt with losing her. I felt it,
right,
but I didn't deal with it very well. I just hid all those feelings, packed them in a box, put them away. Went to school, graduated high school, went to, started college, this happened.
Hold on.
Anyway, sit over there. Did, everything that I was supposed to do as a good little daughter. And so if you see me pausing or hear me pausing, it's because I'm doing laundry and my cat keeps walking all over it. Anywho.
This, as y'all know, as my podcast always go, unscripted, unedited, unfiltered,
and
un-Mia.
Yes. So anyway, back to all of that. Like my dad was not in my life. He was living up here in Virginia. This was back home in South Carolina. He and my stepmom invited me to move up to Virginia because I was making very poor decisions and back home, just trying to deal with everything. And so I sort of ran away from the problems.
Right.
Problems never left though. I just took my problems from one state to another state.
So despite you not being a fan of her, you were the bag lady at that time.
I was the bag lady.
Okay.
Straight up bag lady.
Sorry, Tashara, if you're hearing, I'm using your reference from your sermon. I'll give that cliff note later.
I was the bag lady. And
right.
I just kept bottling up all these feelings. Mm-hmm. And I got to a point where I was full on suicidal.
Right.
Finally broke down and told my parents. They made me get a therapist, made me get into therapy.
Okay.
And that's when I was diagnosed with clinical depression. And they put me on meds. I cannot remember the name. Zoloft.
Okay.
They put me on Zoloft. And I stopped taking it. I still don't take it. I don't like the way it makes me feel because I went from feeling down and depressed to feeling nothing.
So you're basically numb. Like unintentionally numbness.
Numb, but I don't feel like it fixed anything.
Right.
It just made me not feel as bad.
Okay.
And like I didn't want to do that.
Okay.
And so I had to, with the therapist, I started doing physical like things to try and like get myself out of this hole that I was in. And that's what it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a deep pit.
Right.
You know, where life is passing you by, but when you hit that real depression, it's you don't want to function, you just want to exist.
So it's kind of there's a lot of questions I got. Like I don't know where to begin.
Ramble them out. All
right. Yeah, I feel like I'm about to hit customer mode. My bad. So you went through everything. You experienced, having the experience of acknowledging and having the news shared. Your mom passed. Mm-hmm. Not really having time to take it all in. You had to just kind of process it and then move forward.
And kept going.
When, if at any point, did you ever grieve? I think, and I know I've talked to you about this before.
I was in my 20s before I finally grieved. And it was after I got a therapist. And after I finally started talking to someone. And they forced me to grieve. Right. That's the best way to put it. They forced me to take all those feelings that I've been hiding and address them. I'm gonna have to deal with each and every one of them. Okay. So with a therapist, because it's someone that doesn't know you. Mm-hmm. So anonymous. It's anonymous. They don't judge you. Like, it's not like family and church who just tells you to pray harder, like as if you're not.
It's gonna be okay.
Yeah, just pray. Pray. As if that's going to fix everything. Yeah. And nothing against prayer by all means. I'm a full believer in prayer. But faith without works is dead. Praying and then doing nothing else ain't going to fix anything. And a lot of people don't seem to understand that.
Sometimes that's skipped over. Yeah. Now, to add to the grieving factor, and I feel like I've experienced this with a lot of people, and this is relevant to what you're mentioning, and this is kind of me. I have friends who have experienced people they've lost. And I know this even happened with me with losing my sister a couple of years ago, and I talked about that in the Domestic Violence podcast. There's no right or wrong way to grieve. And I think sometimes people miss that. Exactly. I know whenever I've had friends go through something or have something occur, I literally come off and say it as, you do what you need to do, you take your time, my number still exists. If you need to hit me up, I'm a call or a text away. I know for me, I've kind of always been from the grieving. Well, I'm not gonna say just from a grieving standpoint, from depression or just dealing with things like. And I've even talked to you with this. Like when I know certain days come, like when October comes, come on Chanel, get out of the house. Let's go. We gotta do something. I don't care if we just walking up the street. Let's just go. And
so what he's referring to is my mom died October 18th. Yeah. So October is just a really kind of sucky month for me. Like June is a sucky month because her birthday is June 16th. Yeah. And then Mother's Day. It's just 3 days
of just fighting
in the year where it sucks. Yeah. And I get back into that moment.
And to add to that, it's okay to get I'm turning to therapist now. Yeah. It's okay to get into that moment. No, in all seriousness, it's okay to get into that moment because it's proper to deal with things your way. Great job. That was me as background, just twerking all on the table like it won't nothing. Won't he do it? So it's okay to have that moment of, and it's not you saying, look, I need attention, come see me, do something. It's like, no, Brian, when you have an opportunity, let's do something. Let's hit Starbucks. Let's go somewhere. Ain't you gotta go get a drink. Just sit and just have a 2% moment and just think about randomness. I'm guilty because a lot of times I know when I'll talk to you, I'm always the one that tries to say, well, remember the good times. I know a lot, and I know sometimes it's like, all right, yeah, I know the good times happen, but that's not what this is about. But it's like, I'm guilty of putting a positive spin, and Chanel will tell y'all, and I'll tell y'all, when my sister passed, it's been 8-9 years. When she passed, it was like I had to kind of find my way of, grieving and getting through what happened with her. And then I realized my motivation, like my way of doing it was I shared motivational thoughts. Mm-hmm. And that's like a few, like it started with 6 people. And out of that 6, some of those people still don't get that message to this day, but it's circulated to like 20 something people. And, that's all like in the past. But like one thing we talked about, and we had this conversation, is taking heed to your own words. And one of the biggest things that I always say and address is like no process and no moment is ever going to be easy. But the important part is you got people in your corner. And I know I said I had a whole bunch of questions and I like left them all back in like the 10-minute mark. But what I will say is, like, since that has all happened and since you have now like gotten a core group of friends, you grieved, had a core group of friends, has it helped the process a little better?
It has.
Okay.
It is kept me, like, I do still deal with depression and I do still struggle with depression,
right?
But nowhere near as bad as it used to be,
right? Because
I can, when I'm sliding into that pit, I can start sending texts and or talk to somebody. Or
half the time I know when it's coming.
Yeah, so if you not trying to get me out the house, Jamila trying to get me out the house, Dustin saying come to his house, Wayne sending us some stupid post, just Lord, we're not even gonna talk about
that dog me? Nope.
The stuff that he sends. But like I have the core people around me now that can help me pull myself back out of that pit. And I still don't have to get on meds to do it. Yeah. And that is my goal, is to not ever have to get on meds. I do not want my mood to ever be dependent on meds. However, I'm a nurse.
Yeah.
I do not in any way look down upon or knock someone suffering from depression that has to take the meds. It does not make you weak. I simply chose not to, for me, and I'm doing what works for me. For some people, the meds are what work. And if that's what works, go for it. One person's method is not going to work for someone else.
Yeah.
Which is what kills me about now, how it's become fashionable to have a mental illness. It's fashionable to say you're depressed or you have anxiety, or you see these memes about I'm bipolar and he just gonna have to learn to deal with it and blah blah blah. And no, you're not. Let's stop
100.
with the 100 emoji. And it's like you can't. That's not how it is. That's not the truth. Like, you can't just self-diagnose yourself for a Tumblr aesthetic. Like, you can't do that. Ooh. That's not how it works.
Let me bleed out real quick.
But I mean, that's what people do.
True. That's true.
Like, they want the depression aesthetic because it looks good right now. Mental illness sort of became fashionable.
Sexy.
Yeah. And I think it's sad because people that are actually truly mentally ill are still being ostracized and still not receiving care,
right? And
still not, they're still looked at as there's something wrong with them. But then you got somebody on Tumblr with a page of a whole bunch of really pretty depression quotes.
Quotation.
Right. And 10,000 followers and lots of likes. And it's like, how is that?
How's that a thing?
How is that a thing? Why is depression cute now? It's like, how nerds are all of a sudden in fashion now, except for real nerds, we're still not.
Right. True.
It's cool to be called a nerd now. Yeah. It's the same thing with the depression now.
So I'm on meds and I got issues and I got problems. It's like, yo, feel bad for me. Like, look at me.
Exactly.
I'm having problems. Yeah, look at my moments. I'm on a horse.
Yep.
So I'm
depressed. I have anxiety. Look at me. I'm on a horse. Now I'm bipolar.
and I have a Lamborghini. Wait, yeah. How did you wake up in a new Bugatti? Let's go.
But I mean, that's what it's turned into now.
So I'm gonna give us. I guess this will be my story time because I did mention this before we recorded, and thankfully this person will probably never hear this podcast. So God is good. Won't he do it?
Church music in the background.
You can't give me the moment like you threw the alley and it was
I threw it and I gave that to you.
I was chilling in the Beamer, listening to Ether.
That was me.
So, 2 years ago. No, about 10 years ago, I was involved with someone who was of a fair acquaintance that we were real close and we were cool. And her wild card, her wild card was panic attacks. She would sit and say, "Yeah, I'm having, I need this, I need that, and if this doesn't happen, I'm gonna have a panic attack." And it's like, as from the medical perspective, because now I want you to turn off the depression cue. Give me from the medical nursing perspective. A panic attack would not be something you plan and prepare. It
no,
just
panic attacks typically happen. Now, sometimes people can feel it coming on. Certain situations can trigger it, but a panic attack is not. Oh no! If I don't get another pack of cigarettes, I'ma have a panic attack
for hours.
Yeah, like
this would be hours. I was dealing because it was like I would be around this person majority of the day, and I'm sitting here like, twiddling my fingers, like hands crossed, like. So tell me more about this panic attack that you haven't had today. The magically appeared out.
Yeah, the magical panic attack that you planned. Because for a lot of people who actually do have a panic disorder, they feel like they're about to die.
Yes.
Like it is. They go into life or death mode with it, and for a lot of them, there may be a situation that triggers it, and sometimes they'll feel guilty because they don't know what triggered it.
Right. That's
but
true.
they something is putting them in this panic mode, and their body goes into fight or flight. But there may not be any reason for it, but they're just legitimately in fight or flight.
This is true.
So you don't plan for that.
You don't plan and prepare.
You don't plan for that.
It'll happen on its own.
Like people who sit there, I have anxiety disorder.
Yeah.
This makes me anxious. Really? Because you look real relaxed, right? Anxious. Like there's anxious. Like I'm excited to see you, and I can't wait to get here and be here, and I'm anxious about it. And then there's straight up actual anxiety where you are freaking out and
any moment and anything.
And like for some people with anxiety, the idea that it's about to be a family dinner. I got to be in front of the entire family. I can't do this. I can't do this. This is too much. That's something totally different.
The wedding. The dress. It wasn't major anxiety, but it was like you just were like processing it the entire day. So, backstory. 2 of our friends, they got married. And we were there to enjoy it. I almost got my head taken off because I didn't know I was part of the wedding, which I kind of figured I was.
None of us knew we were part of the wedding.
But one of us knew in advance and shared with the other one, a.k.a. it was shared with me because I was the last one and I got the angry through the window face like, bring your ass, come on. Which is cool. But during that event, I won't say it was anxiety, it was just an adjustment or a transition. Anxiety would be... I would look at anxiety I won't say depression. I'll say anxiety would be if you're put in a position, let's say you were expected to make a speech or make an announcement during the wedding, and you know that it's time to do it, and it arrives, and you literally forget.
You are, for someone with a real anxiety disorder, they may, their heart rate's faster, their blood pressure's going up, they're sweating, they're almost to a panic attack. Like true anxiety, you feel it. You feel it.
So as an example, like as a random example, and this is extremely 2%. I'm probably way out of my league. If I am, shut me down. With doing you have a job interview, and you got like a day to kind of prep and plan, and the job interview hits. Would that be kind of like in that category?
For people
who aren't good at interviewing.
People who true introverts, not people who just kind of don't want to be bothered. Like people who are true introverts, that can induce anxiety because true introverts are much more comfortable home alone. Not to say that they're antisocial, but they get overwhelmed very easily when there's too much going on, and then they just get worn out. Like it wears them out.
Right.
And so for an introvert, a true introvert, the idea of that upcoming panel interview can induce panic, can induce anxiety.
Right.
You know,
Almost similar to if you took a person who's not the typical game, and this is I'm probably in the wrap up stage because I know I'm gonna give like closing thoughts and then we're gonna break it down. Like it would be like someone who's been the at home gamer in the basement, hanging out, chilling. That's the lifestyle. That's what they know. And you take a lot of that home.
Tournament mode.
And they made it tournament mode.
The tournament
or MagFest.
You know, and they're just like,
this is way too many people.
This is overload.
I played online.
Overload.
Yeah, I played online. I'm good, but now you got me in front of like a bunch of people. I'm playing at Evo.
And
I'm in Las Vegas.
Too much.
Yeah,
it's too much.
Okay.
But I mean that's the thing with true mental illness. You're not sitting there looking for it. You're not excited to have it.
Yeah.
I'm not excited to
be
be
depressed.
Diagnosed with clinical depression.
Yeah.
You know, at no point did I think to myself, you know what would sound real good? If I had depression. Let me see. Can I get that? Can I get that to go?
Can I get a number 4? Can I get a box?
Can I get a box? Can I get a number 4 with a side of depression? Like, that's not how I wanted that. And there are days when it's bad.
Yeah,
It's bad.
And luckily in the years I've known you, I've realized that. I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize.
No, you're fine.
But in the years I've known you, I've seen bad, but I also know like I always, and I'm not saying me personally, but most of us we usually can kind of see it like, all right, let's all do something. Let's do 2% hang out. Like if it's
I'm sliding.
Yeah, and then it's always like, you know, we always joke about the twin mode, but it's like when ESP pops off like last Friday, still weird.
That was still weird.
Still weird. I don't know which was weirder, that one or MagFest this year with the Bob Marley shirts.
I don't know.
Because the Bob Marley shirt I'm still trying to process, because I think that was the only, I had just got that shirt in September.
I have no idea how weird just, yeah.
It's an unplanned thing, y'all. It's like we make the twin reference. Like even one of my classmates who she goes to get her hair,
my barber, honestly thinks that we're actual brother and sister, and I don't tell many otherwise. I'm gonna let it happen. I'm just gonna let it.
So I know we've hit quite a bit. I know it's like usually I try to keep these in the 15 range, but y'all know on podcasts every day in August, so I almost said April. I try to make it a little different, and I know.
Depression's kind of hard to.
Yeah, you can't throw a 15. I wouldn't throw a 15-minute window.
It's hard to throw into 15.
It's hard,
especially.
It's so hard.
It's so hard. So hungry.
So let me ask you before we go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you closing remarks.
You might as well just roll it to 30.
Oh, I'm YOLO. You know, I got 3 hours.
So what you not gonna?
What I'm not gonna do is talk for 3 hours. Number one, that mean I'd be up like rendering this all night.
Exactly.
We be on that. Lord. So when you were on the podcast last time, did you have the blog, the Barely Sane Nurse blog?
The last podcast?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. You want to plug it again?
BarelySaneNurse.com. But I also have the second blog, which you can see my ups and downs with depression in so many words. .wordpress.com. So there's the Barely Sane Nurse, like I've said before, that one is more nursing geared with my salty take on it.
Yes.
And then the in so many words, that's me in my ups and my downs and my lefts and my rights.
Now, is it still Unique 104? Or you changed it?
No, I think it is still Unique 104
Okay.
at WordPress.
.wordpress.com.
Okay. But then the title of it is just called In So Many Words.
So, I'm proud of my twin because I'm going to have a moment. Let me cry for a second.
Have a tear.
Jordan T. We have been, I think this year has been about rebranding. Like we've seen other companies rebrand, even Medium. I'll show you that later on. Companies are rebranding, which causes people to rebrand. Anyone who knows the podcast, if you go back to episode 1, Brad Tate podcast, long as hell, not even gonna lie. So to cut it down to the past, it's been about rebranding. And for her, she's done rebranding because she's been going through her thing. And she know I'm always like tooting horns. Too soon.
I'm buying a horn.
Like you look at him for the eyeball quick enough.
That would be too loud.
for this podcast. We didn't remember we had 5 of them going. 5 or 6 of them going at one time. Barely. Carolina won against Jacksonville by 1 point. So check. Yep, and there it is. Just moments, melodies.
No, you're not.
You threw a melody. Rain down.
You will not.
That's how I start praise dancing again. So we're gonna. So with closing remarks, I'm gonna just say first and foremost, thank you because I know it's like short notice and it was like I wanted you to low key kind of take this podcast and I just kind of be here for claps and bravos and.
Well, I mean, you asked questions to help lead the podcast around, and the fact of the matter is mental illness. You could have a 2-3 hour discussion.
Yeah. On
mental illness.
It's not something mild.
That, you can't WebMD yourself into mental illness.
Or WebMD yourself to cancer.
Oh, stop. As a nurse.
That's it. Look. Wait. Is this your closing remark?
This is my closing remark as the barely sane nurse. Do not come in to my damn hospital and tell me what WebMD told you have. I'm smacking shit out you. Look. Okay. WebMD takes your very generic symptoms and gives you a list of things that those symptoms apply to. And it could be any number of those. So let's stop, okay? Let's stop with that. Let's stop self-diagnosing. Let us stop deciding to self-diagnose our mental illness. Let's just stop. I had to have that moment. I'm sorry that I'm ranting.
You're good. No,
y'all getting on my nerves.
This closing remarks. I'm sorry. I'm laughing in the background, but I've seen it.
If you can see my face, that's probably. I'm so angry right now.
I don't blame you though. I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry right now. But as a spin-off to that, I'm gonna add something. Not me being on the outside of the medical field, you doing it before. I'm gonna give my non-medical / medical advice because you've mentioned this to me, and I'm also going to give some dispute advice since this is what I do and this will be something to help people. If you're going to say to someone that you're checking in with as far as going into a hospital, don't lie about what you're taking or what you ain't taking. It's going to be known or exposed at some point. Share. It's better for it to be addressed in the beginning. It's no different than if you were to go to say jail or whatever, and they say, "Did you have any other convictions?" You say no, and then of course they pull up your social, and you're like,
"So your rap sheet 4 pages long."
So you just like robbed 20 people, and you came to work like ain't nothing happened, like we won't go get noticed. So that's my info for that. My dispute advice is, and I've shared this with all of my friends, and I think they've heard me say this enough where I think they are partially pissed but wholeheartedly understand it's perfect because it happens so often. Terms and conditions are your best friend. Every website you go to, even WebMD, has what's called privacy. They have what's called terms and conditions. They have, now WebMD ain't gonna have it, but other companies will have it. Refunds. If you're due a refund, find out how to get your refund. Don't call somebody asking for help to get a refund and you didn't do don't jump to step 5 when you haven't done step 1.
But I mean, and you can take that and apply that to the whole podcast of the mental, like you can't
run away from this.
Like, but the thing is you also can't be like, I'm sad. So it must be clinical depression.
Critical.
Eyebrows. No, like you can't do that. You can't. Like, being sad and being actually clinically depressed
are two different.
Being anxious and having anxiety disorder, having mood swings, and having actual bipolar disorder, those are totally different things. Like, he broke up with you and you sad today. You're depressed right now. You having a moment. You do not have depression.
Yeah, you're temporarily
you're
upset.
down.
Yeah.
You're down. but like you that's not how it works.
All right, aggro final thought. More people should learn to get out of their own way. The more we get out of our own way, the more we can move forward. That's what I'm going to leave y'all with tonight. Closing marks. I think we're going to check it out.
He did something with that.
No, I didn't.
I just want
you lucky I didn't do
that.
I wish I could have said my voila magic and made some. No, I really didn't. Because you done heard that about 12 million times anyway. Sips tea. But as always.
Actually, Sips Sutter Home White Zinfandel in a plastic bottle.
Zinfandel. Rescue rate. On that note, the past sat it out. But I mean, bad. Another episode complete. Another show shared. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate you checking out any current shows or previous episodes. If you'd like to follow me on social media, you can look me up on the Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter under Past Podcast. If you'd like to go to the website, it is available at pastpodcast.com, where you can listen to this episode as well as previous episodes. Until next time, y'all take it easy.